Hello guys, today I'm going to be answering a question from somebody, Shimon Milevsky, and he's asked me about a subwoofer. So let me just read the question. I am looking to purchase a subwoofer for music and movies, 70% music, 30% movies. The Yamaha SW901 seems like a great deal for £550 new, but I've never heard it. My other consideration was the Rel T9i, the HT1205, or even the 1508 aka the Predator. Only heard the T7i, so would appreciate your thoughts on this dilemma. My current gear, Yamaha AS3000 amp and CDS3000 CD player powering my Dali Opticon 6 via some £100-ish cables. Thanks a lot. So, first of all, I want to answer your question about the Yamaha SW901. It's very funny that you've asked me this question because it's not a very popular subwoofer. There's not much out there on it. I've looked at this subwoofer, I've seen it on like a half price deal in the last couple of months, and I've just been like, you know, what's wrong with it? You know, what's the matter here? Because it looks like, if you look at the subwoofer, it has all the makings of a good subwoofer, so why has it gone down in price? So I can tell you that I did actually bite the bullet. I ordered the subwoofer. I got it on an open box deal. So basically, you know, when it's open box, usually they're not so funny when you send it back. So that's what I did. And yeah, first of all, I can say the subwoofer, it looks lovely. It's got the piano black finish, the classic piano black finish with the gold Yamaha logo. Very, very nice. I'm a pianist, as it happens, so for me, that's very nostalgic. Yeah, back in my days when I was playing piano more. But yeah, you know, for that, I appreciated that a lot. The other thing is the Yamaha, I believe it comes with a remote, right? And I found that quite cool at the time. I thought that's quite cool. You know, there's all these controls here. And why is that good? Because you can set the subwoofer up from your listening position. So you don't have to keep going back behind the subwoofer and keep fiddling around and all that. So that was really handy. And the other thing is you've got controls at the front as well. So you can see kind of how, when you're setting up, you can see kind of what's going on. And I think you're able to change, to move a few of the controls as well. So yeah, again, that helps because when the controls are at the front, you're able to set it up without crawling behind the back of the subwoofer, which is really annoying and sometimes not possible because there could be tons of wires or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I found really cool. There were a few minor annoyances though. So first of all, the remote, right? There was this one occasion where basically the remote, basically let me tell you, it was someone I know who actually bit the bullet and bought the subwoofer, and they brought it to me for a test, right? So yeah, and we kind of shared the money. But basically they brought it to me, they forgot the remote control at home, and we were sitting there trying to play around with the EQ modes, because there's these EQ modes, there's a music mode, a movie mode, and a normal mode, I think, and we couldn't do it. So unless we missed something, we couldn't do it. So that was annoying. Remote control is necessary. So if you lose it. The other thing is auto on off. You know, there's like a switch on a lot of subwoofers where you press it, and then when the subwoofer gets a signal, it turns itself on, and when it doesn't get a signal, it will put itself into standby. So that's really annoying. Why doesn't it have it? You know, it's got all these features, got all these like EQ settings and remote and all that sort of stuff, but it didn't have that. But it did have a timer. So there's a button that you can press with timer. Let's say timer turn off in an hour. You can do that, but it's still not as good as an auto on off. So yeah. The other thing that was a bit annoying was that I couldn't find any detail about the specification of the subwoofer online. Like Yamaha are very, they're almost secretive about this subwoofer. There's not really a lot published on it. Like for example, the amplifier. Like I think, if I remember correctly, it was a 600 watt amplifier, but it doesn't say is it RMS or is it peak. I couldn't find anything on that. It doesn't tell you what type of amplifier it is. Was it an AB amplifier? Was it a Class D amplifier? It didn't say that when looking at it. So the fact that the annoyance there is that Yamaha doesn't seem to have put much effort into the marketing and the promotion of the product, which makes me think, how much are they going to support you if anything goes wrong? So yeah. Now I'll start with the things I liked about this Yamaha. SW901. First of all, what I did like, it's a servo subwoofer, and usually for servo subwoofers you have to pay a lot more money, and there's some real benefits to servo design, so that was one thing I liked about it. Again, the other thing I liked about it, I've said before, is the design. I think it was absolutely beautiful to look at. You know, it's just like the gloss black finish, and then like on the corners there were these kind of prism kind of cutouts, which look really nice. So yeah, it's very, very nice. Yeah, the sound as well. Let's talk about the important thing. The sound, very nice sound, detail, good resolution in the bass. It integrated very well with my Opticon 6s. I tried it with my Opticon 6s, and I tried it with my new THX speakers, the Toyful System 6. I tried crossing it over with those, and it sounded pretty good with those for music as well. For music, it sounded quite good with those. So that's that. Speedy, quite a speedy sound as well, especially for a ported as well. Very speedy sound, and I didn't hear any chuffing, you know, from the ports. So, you know, fair is fair. The other thing is the build was very nice, very solid when you knock on it and stuff, and the cabinet when you pick it up, it's very dense. It's very densely packed in there. I believe it was something like 35 kilos or something like that for something that's that size. You know, it is very well made, it seems. So yeah, those parts were good. But now we'll go on to the things I did not like. So first of all, the output, the performance with movies. The bass output wasn't enough for my room, and that's because, like, I mean, a lot of people would probably thought it was okay, but I have tried a good few subwoofers, and I've been in, you know, this has been a hobby for me for at least 15 years now. So for me, it wasn't enough bass output, not enough sound pressure level, and the room that I was in, it's like 6 meters by 3 meters by 2.5, right? So it's a medium-sized room. It just can't get the lowest notes at all, and even the normal bass notes, again, there's not enough slam to it. But the thing that I think is the worst thing about the Yamaha SW901, and it was very sad to be honest, because I was actually thinking about buying a brand new version of this and doubling it up, but it was the vibrating backplate. So there's a backplate, right, for the amplifier, and I've read a few comments online like, oh, the backplate vibrates, and I was thinking, maybe these guys got some faulty ones, I don't know. But I think it's a design flaw. So if you're going to get one, it probably will vibrate, because the one I got, why is it doing that? And you know, apparently this subwoofer has been, the old one was a 900, right? And I think that came out 15 years ago. And if you look at it, they're pretty much the same. The 901, the 900, they look almost identical. And I've seen some comments back from 10 years ago for the old 900, and again, people were saying the bass plate is vibrating. Sorry, the amplifier plate is vibrating. So what's the reason for that? So yeah, my dream was ruined, unfortunately, with the SW901. It was very nice to look at, and to play around with for a few days, but unfortunately it had to go back. Now, moving on to the REL subwoofers that you've mentioned. You mentioned the T9i, the 1205 and the 1508 Predator. So I'm gonna just outline the specs for people who are watching today. The T9i, it's a quite a compact subwoofer. It has a 10-inch cone that is active, and it has another 10-inch cone. I believe that one is downward firing, but that one is a passive radiator. The amplifier that it gets is 300 watts. RMS, and it is a class AB type amplifier, which is usually for the more, you know, it seems like that it's more stereo minded. The class AB amplifiers are usually used for people who want more of the hi-fi sound. Okay, so that's the market the T9i is in. It's in that sort of market. Then you've got the 1205 and the 1508, and this is more geared towards the home theater side of the market. So the 1205, the 12-inch cone it's got 12-inch cone, it's front firing, it's a sealed box design, I believe. It's 500 watt RMS, and it's class D. So notice that in the home theater world, they've added the class D amplifier in there. 1508 Predator, 15-inch cone, 800 watt class D. So yeah, that one's a big boy. So first of all, I'm gonna say to you, right, I'm a little bit biased. I'm gonna be a bit biased here, because I always try to figure out, am I going into this answer biased or unbiased? And I'll tell you why I'm a bit biased, because I am probably a bit more into movies these days than I am into music, okay? Because back in the day, right, I was saying the same thing like you. Oh, I'm 90% music or 80% music and a little bit of movies, right? But the thing is that you're saying 70% music, 30% movies now, but question I have to you, could that change? Could that percentage, could that ratio change? That's the question. Now, home cinema, it's a lot more addictive, right? Because new movies come out all the time. Whereas music, you probably have some music that you listen to for all your life. So there's not really a lot of new music coming out that you like. At least I don't anyway. You know, I usually listen to things I like, and there's not much new stuff that comes out that I'd even want to listen to, right? But with home cinema, there's new movies coming out and there's a lot more content to play around with, right? So personally, with a nice subwoofer, right, your movies are going to sound totally different, like totally different if you have a nice subwoofer. And what can happen is you want more and more and more, because let's say you're playing a film and like you never heard bass like that before in this film, and then you know you think to yourself, oh, what about if I spend a little bit more money? Maybe I could have got even better than that. That's the thing. Or maybe you might move house into a bigger room and then that subwoofer isn't doing it anymore. So that's this is the thing. Like, this is why I'm saying I'm a bit biased now, because throughout time I've gone on that journey and I've ended up favoring the movies for that reason. Now, I would say to you, which one would I pick, right? To stay on the safe side with subwoofers, you've got to take into account that you want that subwoofer to do a lot of things. So you need to pick a subwoofer that is good, is proven to be good at a lot of things. Okay, and for me, I would say the holy grail of subwoofer design is a sealed box, a huge cone, and a big amplifier, a big, probably Class D amplifier these days. Okay, and if you want something to be good at everything, you want it to be good at music, you want it to be good at movies, you want at least a 15-inch cone for a sealed box, and probably, you know, there's argument there to say 18-inch, because with a sealed box there's a lot more excursion that's necessary, right? With a larger cone you get more, the cone doesn't have to move as much. So yeah, for sealed boxes 18-inch is probably ideal. With a big amplifier, that's going to cost you thousands, right? That's going to cost you thousands, and that's the problem. There's always this price and performance that people have to weigh up, and I notice that the subwoofers that you've sent me, I'm just going to check the REL Predator. That one is 1599, right? And that was the most expensive one that you put on the list. Everything else was, you know, 1,000-ish. So something tells me that the price is a big part for you. You also mentioned the Yamaha 550 quid. So price is something you're considering. Yeah, so what's the other option? The other option is a ported design. Now, a lot of people are thinking, you know, he's talking about ported designs now. I don't want a ported design. They sound blurry. Now, first of all, that's not true. They don't sound blurry. A ported design, the whole point of it is to give you more natural amplification from the subwoofer. Okay, so you can put the same amount of watts in, still high quality watts from the amplifier, and the design of the box allows it to get more sound pressure into the room. There's some good ported designs out there. They're not all bad, otherwise people wouldn't make them. You just get a lot more sound pressure for the price. Okay, and these days there's these hybrid ported designs. So basically a hybrid ported design is a bit of a marketing thing really, but they're designs where you can customize the sound a bit more to how you want. So there's a company, give you an example, XTZ, and they have two large ports on the front, and basically they have shown you with these foam plugs that you're able to put one of the foam plugs into one hole or another hole, and they've given you like these graphs about how the sound will change. Okay, so it allows you to customize how you want that subwoofer to perform. In my room, I've got the XTZ 1217 Edge, which is a new one. I think it's a 700 watt ICE amplifier, Class D, 12-inch. It's quite a big box, not that big, but it's quite a big box. And I run it with one of the foam plugs in, and I put it on the right hand side because it sounds different to the left hand side, right? And I've sat there playing with it. So that's the thing. I like the fact that I'm able to take a subwoofer and I can make it sound a bit more how I want it to sound, rather than they've given it to you and that's it. You know, this is what it's going to sound like, right? And the other thing is the XTZ has a parametric equalization facility on it. So if you ever wanted to tune your subwoofer to your room, you're able to do it with that using the parametric EQ, which is very, very powerful. I've got some things to ask you, right? So I think, like you said, you want this subwoofer for music right now. So my question is, if you do want it for music, what type of music are we talking about? Are we talking orchestral music, acoustic music? Are we talking about music that has more natural, acoustic instruments in the music, and you're recording actual sounds rather than synthesized stuff, right? If that's the case, right, I don't think you're going to be blasting that subwoofer very high or your sound system, and you want something that sounds a bit more natural and integrated. In that case, I would go for your Rel T9i. That's what I would go for. But if you're talking, you know, electronic music, trance music, house music, you know, even rock music, as something where you're going to be turning up loud, then I wouldn't recommend the T9i for that, because I think in a lot of rooms it won't be enough. You know, it's possible, but it's just not, I don't think it's the ideal fit for that. I would go for something with a Class D amplifier and more watts for that sort of purpose. And that probably go to the 1205 REL that you were looking at. If you definitely want an REL, that's probably where I would go if you do want it for music mainly. Okay, but if you do want to explore with movies too, then I would definitely go for the 15-inch. If it must be REL, go for the 15-inch, because it will do the movies, it will do the music too, I think. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with REL subs for music. That's what they're famous for, you know. You know, if they make a movie sub, it doesn't mean it's not going to be any good for music. They will make sure it is good for music. If you think there is a potential that you might listen to movies more so in the future, SVS is a good brand. XTZ, as I've mentioned, is a good brand. And I think these days, having seen this XTZ 1217 Edge, I think it's a hard subwoofer not to recommend for any activity. If you want to do movies or music, I think that's a hard subwoofer not to recommend. It has to be in the picture, is what I'm saying. You have to be considering that if you're looking for a value, high performance subwoofer. Okay, and my one copes with music and movies very well. Finishing this off, I would say that it's an interesting question, your one, because I have to admit, it is very difficult to pick a subwoofer. It's not easy. It took me months to pick any subwoofer I've ever bought. It's always taken me at least a month. You have to be very, very aware of what you want it to do. You have to consider your room size. You have to consider your acoustics in your room. And are you going to be able to tune that subwoofer to the room? Is that an option in the future? I think, yeah. So I think if it has multiple uses and that's there, try a versatile subwoofer, try to get something with some parametric EQ controls on it, and I think your results are just going to be good across the board, and that's what you want. If you don't care about that and you want it to be, you know, you want to go old school, you know, you just want nice subwoofer, it sounds good, then probably the T9i is probably where you want to go. So hopefully that made things a little bit easier for you. I hope it answered the question. If you like the video, give us a like, and I'll see you next time. Any updates, I'll put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video. Did you like it? If you did, then please give us a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content. I'll see you next time.